Well, we haven't talked to you in a while. Just the scrimmage this week. How you feel like things are going?
Well, we're okay. We're just, the inconsistencies is what bothers me a little bit right now. You get in this portion of camp, and everybody's still a little tired and a little sore, and they got to push through it. That's where your leadership's got to show up. And, we're just not consistently doing that well enough at this time. Scrimmage, we did respond the right way. We didn't start out the scrimmage well. Got hit with some big plays, none of them physical. Eye control issues and watching the right stuff. And credit to offense, made some nice plays, but we responded the right way as the scrimmage went on. I was proud of that. But again, we take 2 steps forward, 1 step back. We've got to continue to press forward every single day. It's about the consistency in our performance every single day out, and that's my biggest concern right now. We lack some communication a little bit at the linebacker position. We got to do a better job of that, of communicating and getting the calls out and things like that. We get a little tired, we get a little fatigued, and that makes cowards of us all, and we certainly have some. So we need to continue to battle through that, and we will.
Does that lack of communication encompass Casanova as well?
It's everybody.
How is he doing? We just haven't heard much of, your Mike linebacker.
He's been okay. Again, I don't know who would start day one right now, to be honest with you. We got Justin Garrett's doing a nice job. Trey Williams done some nice things. Chris Frost has been okay, so we'll see what happens. We're going to play the best guys and the most productive guys and the guys that consistently do it right all the time and do it very, very hard all the time. Because you know what, being really good is hard.
How are those
It takes a little heart.
How are those young guys, the 3 corners and Byron Coward, Jeff Holland, that adjusted this last week or so?
They've been fine. Again, it's about the consistency coming out and doing it every single time, and that's tough for a young player. So I've been very pleased with Jeremiah Denson, Carlton Davis are both guys that really have played consistently well. Byron's had his best couple days the last 3 or 4 days. Jeff Holland's done some nice things in pass rush. You got to continue to improve every day.
Well, at what point do you have to make a call on those positions that are still not quite certain?
September 5th, about 1:30. We play at 2:30, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
2:28. We can tell them right before kickoff. They don't get nervous. When freshmen get nervous, you tell them as late as you can.
Can you talk about your 2 walk-ons you guys put on scholarship
Yeah.
this week?
Well, it's great. I know that's, I know how Gus is, and that's one of the things you cherish as a head coach. And the guy comes and walks on. I was a walk-on. Gus was a walk-on. A lot of guys that go into to understand your opportunities are limited, and certainly Mike Sherwood and Aaron Garrison are 2 guys that have worked extremely hard. They have a role in this football team, whether it be special teams or on offense or defense, and those guys have done a fantastic job. So, Aaron's a guy that's going to be a part of our punt team, does a good job with our shield, and Mike's a guy that's can play corner for us and certainly contribute on special teams. It was unfortunate we only had 2. We have several young men on our football team that certainly are very deserving of a scholarship as well. It's a tough call to make as a head coach, but I know it's an enjoyment for you to be in that position.
Coach Garner mentioned that a guy like Howard, so much media hype that he has to be humbled a little bit, and that's happened. Has he kind of moved past that a little bit, building him back up?
Right, that's with most freshmen. It's a culture shock when they come to a situation and you get coached hard, and it's a little different than the recruiting process. So that's true with everyone. But yeah, we've been very pleased.
We'll go back to Cass for just a second. He's like everybody else, except you didn't go visit everybody else in the offseason when they was thinking about going to the draft. Have you been disappointed at all from what you've seen?
No, not at all. We just got to be more consistent.
How was Blake?
And that's not just Cass, that's a lot of people. We're talking about a whole group that needs to be more consistent. So we just need to continue to step forward. We have the ability. It's just not happening down after down after down, day after day, week to week, and that's what's frustrating right now. And we've done some really good things, and we've had some really good days, and we've had some really good improvements from day to day, but then we take a step back here and there, and that's what's frustrating for me. It has nothing to do with physical ability. It has to do with the mental aptitude, just going out every day and playing well. That's part of being a good player. It's what really good players, they play well all the time. They play really good all the time, and sometimes they play great. And that's what we're trying to do right now.
How has Blake Cowner's kind of developed, and what does it mean to have guy that has that much experience come in a Power 5 conference?
Well, it's huge. This guy started 30 games in Michigan, and can play corner, can play nickel, can play safety. So we're repping him a lot of different spots, and the big thing is he's extremely bright. He can really get it in the meeting room and take it on the field, and that's a huge asset to have a guy like that on the back end that can play multiple spots. Because it's not about if somebody goes down, putting your next guy in. It's what's our best combination of 4, 5, or 6 DBs, and he's certainly one of those.
How did it come about getting him? Was it, did he reach out to you, did he reach out to Gus?
Well, I mean, I was actually on the road recruiting in May, and DJ Durkin, who was my defensive coordinator at Florida, was at Michigan, and I had heard on the wire that Blake, I knew from the recruiting process, and I'd recruited good counsel and been up there quite a bit in that area. And so I just kind of got his name across the wire, called DJ, just to kind of find out what kind of young man he was. And DJ had nothing but great things to say, felt like he just wanted to change. Been through a coaching change, didn't want to go through that situation there. And certainly DJ signed off on him as well as you could sign off on anybody. DJ, I trust, was like family to me. So, just reached out to Blake and got the release and did everything the right way as far as, exactly, what he was looking for and the situation and those sort of things. And just kind of, he and his mother came down and visited, and they had a good time and decided to come.
Can a guy like that play corner and safety in the same game and the same?
Oh,
I mean,
absolutely, yeah. We've done that a bunch.
Has Trey Matthews gotten back to full speed?
Yeah, he's not totally, but we're doing a lot of things with him on the field. He's been able to get out and get some reps and get some turns, and so that's been good. We're just trying to get through that. But yeah, he's been back on the field.
Is it concerning at all? Because he had those issues back at Georgia too.
Well, it is. Again, we've done our medical staff do an outstanding job. Of course, Dr. Andrews and his crew, they do a fabulous job of really, watching those things. And we've done about everything we know to do. Right now, if it were probably a game to play today, I think he'd probably cut loose and play. But we got to make sure, because as you know, with these hamstrings, sometimes they can nag on and on. I was never fast enough to pull a hamstring, so I have no idea what it feels like. I told my dad I thought I pulled a hamstring one time. He said, no, you didn't. So I never had a hamstring, so I can't sit there and say what they feel like or any of that stuff. I just wasn't fast enough. And by the looks of you, there's nobody in here with a hamstring. Maybe a groin.
Maybe my hand or feed myself.
There you go. Yeah, bicep.
Yeah,
As far as Halsey goes, I mean, is he going to be a nickel, or are you kind of looking at him maybe?
Corner and nickel. He can play both, and Josh is a guy that can go back and play safety. Yeah, he's, again, another bright young man. He's got coverage ability. He can play in the deep part of the field. He does a good job at nickel. He's got some good run instincts and as far as running and pressuring and those sort of things. So we're just going to, we want to go through Saturday. We're going to get some move the ball snaps Saturday as far as scrimmage is concerned. And then, we've got to start narrowing down as we get back Sunday. Then we'll be off Monday and back in Tuesday. So, we're getting to that point, and we've kind of in our mind formulated some ideas. But right now, again, we're still preparing for the season a little bit as far as moving some guys around and exposing them to different spots.
Will, Justin Garrett, did you look at him at stand linebacker, and how did that sort of go?
I did, yeah. I think he can play on the edge as well. He's a guy that certainly can hold the point in our league, and a guy that can play inside backer but also play on the edges. So I've been very pleased with Justin and the camp he's had.
Well, as you begin to prepare for the Louisville game and the opener, just when you're preparing for an unknown quarterback and refresh an offensive line, and just what are your initial thoughts?
Well, I think the biggest thing is the unknown quarterback, because there's such a drastic difference between the guys that have played for them a year ago. And I know that, I got great respect for Bobby Petrino and the job he does offensively. I think he's as good an offensive coordinator as there is in the country, and a guy that's going to do a really good job of preparing his football team. So, you got a quarterback that's throws the ball well and has also got legs. You got to account for him in the run game, and you got a quarterback that's not as mobile but certainly throws the ball extremely well. So I'm sure he won't let us know before the game who's starting, so we'll have to prepare for both of them and be ready to go.
Is there any personal motivation there for you based on the 2012 Sugar Bowl? I know it's different coaching staffs, different players.
No, it's new year, new day. We need to prepare our Auburn football team the best we can.
Well, just kind of your plans for game day. Who's on the field? Who's in the box? Have you kind of
Lance will
thought-
be in the box, and T-Rob, myself, and Ryan will be on the field.
Okay, so Lance and then Lake Gideon up there too.
Work on a piece of your early days at Valdosta State with Chris Hatcher, now at Stanford. Kirby was on that staff as well. How did that time at Valdosta as a D coordinator kind of mold you how you are today?
Well, I think, again, as a position coach or coordinator or head coach, every day is a learning experience for you. And certainly that was a great opportunity that Chris gave me as a young coordinator and going down there. We had a blast. We had a great staff. We had a lot of really good players. Picking up Dusty Bonner helped, the guy that had started in the SEC at the University of Kentucky, and we gelled together and had a pretty good group. Delta State was really good that year. Josh Bright got the Player of the Year in the Division II, and we had a hard time stopping them. But that was a lot of fun. We had a great great time there, and that's a wonderful place to live. Carol and I really enjoyed, being in Valdosta and a part of that community and that program. They do an outstanding job.
Did you help recruit Kirby as well?
Well, Kirby, I think had just been cut by the Colts. I'm not
Yeah.
positive. I think it was late in the process there, and he came down and interviewed, and of course did a fantastic job for us, and then took over as coordinator when I left and went to LSU. So, outstanding football coach, great friend, and a really good football coach and a good man.
Well, how important is it to have guys like Lance and Blake upstairs, guys that you worked with before and know very well?
Well, I think
in that role?
the biggest thing is that the terminology and communication is the same. So you got a lot of carryover from them and what they know that I want on game day and those sort of things. So I think that's Lance and I've done that before, and certainly Blake was with us at Florida, so he understands that process as well. So we've done that in every scrimmage this fall camp. We've been up, we've operated like game day because it is new for us. So I think it'll be should run smoothly.
Well, the safety, the third safety position, has that cleared up in your mind?
Blake
any?
Countess would be right now.
How about deeper at cornerback, like let's say your third or fourth guy? Will there be a freshman might be able to sneak in?
More than likely. I mean, at the end of the day, you feel really good about Jonathan Jones. Josh Holsey's played well for us. Blake Countess has played well. But Jeremiah Denson and Carlton Davis are the guys that I would put in the game and not even blame.
This third stop here at Auburn, what's been different about this time, and how have things changed from when you first came here?
We're scoring more points on offense. I think, again, I would say that for Jay and our administration and facilities, they've really done a nice job with the athletic dorm. The wellness center is second to none of what I've experienced. So all of those things for a student athlete, for a young man to come to school here and go to a great university, but also be a part of those facilities is really impressive. And so again, kudos to those guys for keeping up with the Joneses, so to speak.
Dan Quinn is one of your guys. How much have you spoken with him about hawk tackling technique, and have you implemented that here?
Well, it's tiger tackle here. We don't do hawk tackles, but they do falcon tackle now. They don't do hawk tackles either. But yeah, Dan and I talk a lot, and we did visit in the off season a lot about different things they do and what we've been doing, and certainly been implemented some of those techniques in what we do.
This is a pretty bizarre question, I know, but between, Dante Fowler, Montrevious Adams, Byron Coward, all these single-digit defensive linemen on their jerseys, is that still weird to you? Are these guys kind of closet skill guys?
I don't know. I hadn't really thought about it. That was a very bizarre question. All right, you just asked that question, it's what, been 10 seconds? That's how long I've thought about it.
Will, Steve Roberts played quarterback at senior year in high school, and he played cornerback last year against the safety. Is he having some issues, Justin, or has he got a chance to play?
No, I've been very pleased with his progress. Again, as a young player, he's consistently doing things the right way, and we put a lot on our safeties. So he's had a lot on his plate, but a guy that's made some plays on the ball, has done a nice job for us, tackled extremely well in the first scrimmage, not much got to him in the second scrimmage. Didn't leverage the ball right on a run, but other than that, I've been pretty pleased with his progress. He's got to continue to move forward. The mistake on the back end is not ever good. And, so the defensive tackle can misstep and get caught in the A gap, and he's supposed to be in the B gap, and we're going to be okay. It's a 4-yard gain. Well, the mistake back there is costly for us, so we've got to make sure that we're tied together very well, and as we start moving forward, especially when we start Tuesday, we're going to get a group out there and make sure we feel comfortable with that group and move on. Again, I think the ability is certainly there. It's got to be that right combination. The offensive line and the secondary have to be the closest knit units on your football team.
How about Montrevious Atkinson?
Yeah, well, he's a guy that's, again, going to contribute on special teams. I don't know right now how much defensively he's going to contribute. He has always been a box safety in high school. He's got some really good explosive and instincts to the ball, so I've been very pleased with that. He's also a guy that we've looked at in some of our sub packages as a linebacker. But again, the guy's got coverage ability. He'll play well on special teams for us. He'll be a huge contributor for us.
Well, when it comes to who coaches in the box versus who coaches on the field, is that something you ask each coach what's your preference, or does it's totally depend on what position they coach?
No, it's more a preference of you always really want your defensive line coach down, because you can, from a standpoint of pass rush games, protections, and things that change. you want to have always somebody in the secondary down, and somebody on the middle level down, and generally the other guy that does a good job. And Lance does a good job in the box. He's been in the box for me before, and he does a really good job of seeing blocking schemes. And we have everybody's eyes assigned to, whether it's in the passing game, protections, run game, of what they're supposed to look at. And after each series, we try and review previous series and preview the next series for our players. So it's it's an operation that everybody's got to be watching the right stuff. They're not up there watching the ball. They're watching a point of attack where their eyes need to be.
Anything else?
So far, what has been the biggest challenge in taking over this defense?
Well, I think, again, you're anytime you install a defense, which I've done now several times, there's always obstacles in that process. There's always some very bright days, and it has been with this group, and there's always some days you kind of take a little bit step back, and it's frustrating at times. But those are things you got to go back, and you've got to do enough to prepare your players for the season, but not do so much where they're slow and they're thinking instead of reacting and playing fast. And that's where there's a happy medium in there as a coach, and you've got to figure it out. All right?
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.